Pop, 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 pop,
Pop Save the USA.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Pop Save the USA. Cole here. How y'all doing? I'm doing better than last episode, that's for sure. And why? It's because I got back from Chicago. Okay, so don't don't tell anyone, but technically I got back from Chicago like 2 weekends ago. So this trip has happened. It happened 2 weeks ago. But this episode is going to be about me recapping my trip to Chicago and talking about the music that I was listening to while I was there. So, this is a mixtape episode if you haven't caught on already. No research was really done for this episode, but I'm here to talk about what a magical time I had in the city. Like, I can for sure say that Chicago is now somewhere I could see myself living in the future. And I know it's not a perfect city, but I doesn't every city have its ups and downs? I just love trains, okay? And Chicago really fucking did it for me. So to get started, I hopped on the Greyhound. There is a Greyhound bus that goes between Cincinnati and Chicago. And for some reason, Cincinnati has a Greyhound station, but the Chicago bus doesn't pick up there. I don't know why. Picks up at University of Cincinnati in downtown. The Greyhound station is like in northern Cincinnati. So interesting choice. But hopped on the Greyhounds. Honestly, trip wasn't too bad. Nothing too crazy happened. But I was listening to the new Underscore album that came out that day. So Tell Me You Want It was probably listened to a lot. Tell Me You Want It by Underscores in general is a great song. And the entire album You by Underscores is fantastic. If you love hyperpop, if you're in the world of Sophie, Charlie XCX, other alternative pop girls that are electronically aligned, I highly recommend you listen to Underscores. That, and I was listening to a lot of Magdalena Bay. I think I talked about them last episode. But Fear Sex by Magbay, fantastic song with some beautiful synths. I wasn't listening to it for any particular reason, but it's just a really good song. I tend to listen to Magbay a lot on road trips. So I arrived in Chicago, and first thing I had in mind was to get some food. Closest thing nearby was H Mart. If you don't know what H Mart is, it's an Asian grocery store. Never been to H Mart before. Had a lovely time perusing. Got myself some onigiri. Uh, just kind of hung out there for a second because I was honestly wiped from the bus ride. And it wasn't too bad of a bus ride. It was only like 5 hours, 6 hours. So it was solid. Like, I can handle that. After that, I ended up grabbing a cookie from a local pastry shop. I wanted a sweet little treat. So I just spent some time eating my cookie, got a little coffee, walked around, had my headphones in, of course. Uh, I was playing Bunny as a Rider by Caroline Polachek. Uh, it's kind of a silly song, uh, but I interpret it as Caroline talking about being a person who is always on the move, someone who is always on the run. And that's what I was feeling in that moment. I was also listening to like Carly Rae Jepsen, Summer Love, Runaway with Me, a classic. Runaway with Me is probably one of Carly Rae Jepsen's best songs. Pop perfection to most. And Summer Love is off of her most recent album. I need to get better at describing music. I don't know how to describe it through musical language, but it's got a funky bass line. And then after that, I went to the Bean. I had to see the Bean, of course, and that was when I rode the L for the first time. Fantastic. Love trains. Saw the Bean. What can I say? Anish Kapoor certainly made a big bean-shaped object that's in the middle of a park. And it was quite busy that day, too. Did some walking around, and one of my best friends called me, who I don't get to talk to often, and it's always so lovely to catch up with her. Anna, if you're listening, love you lots. I'm always wishing the best for you. So then after that, finally wasted enough time, and my Airbnb was ready to be checked into. So I went to my Airbnb. I was staying in northern Chicago, like uptown area, and took the red line up there. Fantastic, no issues with that. And my Airbnb host ended up being this lovely, lovely, lovely middle-aged gay man who is named Troy. Shout out to Troy. Thank you for a wonderful stay, Troy. And Troy, that man was a super gay. And I don't mean like he was super gay. No, I mean like that man was a superhero. I'm amazed about how much he does with his day. He's a painter. He's a florist. He is a baker. When I got there, there was just baked goods available for his Airbnb tenants. Like all of it just for people staying with him. That was so sweet of him too. Did I mention he does real estate? Did I mention he helps other people? Did I mention he's also starting his own nonprofit? Actually, I don't know if it's a nonprofit. Don't hold me to that. He's starting his own business that supports other artists in really fantastic ways. He is helping people with things throughout the day. He feeds drag queens and dancers late at night. Like, fantastic, man. I'm just, wow. Shout out to you, Troy. He also had two of the loveliest pit bulls. He adopted them. They were so sweet. If you go on my Instagram, you can see me hugging one of them. Very cute. There were some other guests staying there while I was there, so that was fun. It was a 3-bedroom apartment, and they were staying in just one of the other bedrooms. They were kind of odd, but nothing wrong with them necessarily. They just really didn't seem to stick around for long, and they actually ended up leaving their stay early, like 2 days early, and the Airbnb host was like kind of confused why, and so was I. So anyways, whatever. So while I was out there at the Airbnb, I actually was just kind of scrolling through Instagram, and a friend of mine from college, Danielle, shout out to Danielle, had posted on her story about a documentary she had worked on recently, and I knew she had moved to Chicago within the last year, and she's probably the only person I knew who lived in Chicago. So I took it as a sign. I swiped up on her story and was like, "Hey, what's up? I'm in your city for the weekend. I just want to know what's good. What should I eat? Anything you would recommend I do while I'm here?" I wasn't necessarily looking to hang out or anything, but she was like, "Oh my god, it's my birthday tonight. Come through." So I ended up going to her birthday party that evening, which was lovely. And in that same instance, I ended up meeting with 2 other people I went to school with. And that was fantastic. It felt like a little mini reunion. At the same party, I ended up meeting 2 lovely folks who I can hope I can call friends now. We had a lovely conversation that night. One was named Elias, the other I will call Papa Squat. And it turns out Papa Squat, I shouldn't say I'm calling them Papa Squat. Papa Squat is their name, of course. So Papa Squat is one of the people that Danielle worked with for this documentary that was posted on her story. And it turns out the documentary was about this local drag show called Kiss and Tell that's been going on for several years now. And Papa Squat is, I can't remember if the creator or one of the creators of Kiss and Tell. And they ended up inviting me to Kiss and Tell the next night, which was fantastic. Ugh. So then after the party, I ended up going home and took the bus back to the apartment. I just love public transportation, y'all. The next day, I ended up going to a cute pastry shop for breakfast, with which one of the folks I met at the party recommended to me. Shout out to you, Elias. I believe he worked there, possibly. I can't remember exactly. But I ended up having like I believe Earl Grey shortbread and a vegan blueberry muffin with oat streusel on top. It was absolutely delicious. Ugh. I love food. So then after that, I decided I would do some shopping that day. When in big city, why not shop, of course, right? There's going to be stores that I can't go to in other cities. So I ended up going to this really cute Asian beauty store called Osaka Ebisu. Ended up picking up some cute stuff. And then after that, I went to Mer's Apothecary, which very cute little apothecary that's been around for a long time that carries fragrances and so many other personal need stuff, like anything from like combs and brushes to toothbrushes to aftershave to fragrances to candles to soaps. There was just so much in there to look at. Had some vegan ice cream that was lovely. It's kind of hard to come by good vegan ice cream, and that was pretty good vegan soft serve. Where else did I shop? Oh, I shopped at a bookstore. I don't remember the name of it, but it was a garden unit bookstore, which was super cute. So I got to go down some stairs into this little lower unit building. How fun. And it was recommended to me by everyone that I go to Pilsen for Mexican food. Pilsen is the Hispanic neighborhood of Chicago. It is where all of the best Mexican food is. And I went there for dinner. Ended up getting some tacos. I believe they were al pastor tacos, one of my faves. And after that, I went to Kiss and Tell. The Kiss and Tell show was fantastic. I believe it was at this club called Color Club. I'm trying to remember correctly. But it was a fantastic community space with a huge ballroom, and they aired the documentary, and then after that had their drag performances. And I had a lovely time. I got to chat with Papa Squad a little bit more and Elias. Shout out. Like, it just felt so nice to be in a community queer scene that felt so loving. Not that the one here in Cincinnati isn't. I'm just saying it was so nice to get a glimpse into the smaller queer scenes of Chicago while I was there. So then after the show ended, I decided, well, if I'm going to go to the gay clubs in Boys Town, which is the gayborhood of Chicago, it's got to be tonight because it's Saturday night. I'm not going to go on a Sunday the day before I'm about to leave and have to wake up at a decent time. So I did just that. I ended up leaving the event, Kiss and Tell, at 10:30. Went back to the Airbnb, changed, freshened up a little bit, and decided to hit the clubs by myself. And honestly, kind of had a blast. I had never gone out to the clubs by myself. Oh, I got to talk about the music I was listening to on the way there. I was listening to a lot of Frost Children to hype myself up for the club. My favorite songs off of the new Frost Children album, I think, are Two Love and Blue Eyed Dragon. And then I was also listening to Falling a lot. That's what I remember. So if you love electronic music, especially electronic music from the earlier side of the 2010s, I urge you to check out Frost Children. So the clubs I ended up going to were Sidetrack, which was fun. Sidetrack was a music video bar. It was kind of packed when I got there. Like, I definitely went a little too late into the night. Um, I guess it wasn't too late. The clubs apparently are open till 4 to 5 a.m. in Boys Town, which you can't get that here in Cincinnati. It feels like everywhere closes at 2 a.m. But I stayed at Sidetrack for a bit, danced around, had a good time. And then as I was leaving, I asked one of the bouncers where I should check out next. And he was like, Hydrate, go to Hydrate. So I went to Hydrate. And let me tell you, I wasn't exactly prepared for Hydrate because as I was standing in line, I noticed that it was all men in line with me. And the thing about Cincinnati is there isn't really like a straight up gay bar that exists like this one. So this was new to me. When I entered, there were go-go dancers, which for a little Midwest boy like me is different. It's not often you see go-go dancers in Cincinnati. It's happened. It's happened. I've seen it a couple times, but not super often. So this was probably a nightly occurrence, I can imagine, at Hydrate. And in the back of Hydrate, led to by a short little hallway, was where the DJ was playing in a massive dark room with some slightly dimmed red lights. And everyone was shirtless. Fuck yeah. So that was fun to witness. And what can I say? When in Rome, I decided to go in that little dark room. And wow, was it sweaty. That's for sure. But hey, it was a fun time. Um, it was certainly a when in Rome thing, like I said. Uh, the music that was playing was like tribal house kind of, very millennial gay guy coded. So that was fun. I had to dip into that experience. Oh, and I ended up meeting this lovely creative twink who whose name is slipping me right now, but we had a nice chat. Shout out to you. You know who you are if you're listening to this. Had a lovely time talking to him. I hope we get to connect more in the future. It was cool to have like a conversation that was so arts based at the club. Hadn't really happened before in my life. Like we were just chatting about our artistic practices and why I'm in Chicago and why he's in Chicago. It was fun. So then I decided to leave the club and I was walking back to the train station and this group of queers just started like yelling, "Hey, guy with the jacket," at me. And I was kind of like, should I ignore them? And I finally like listened to them. I was like, "What?" And they were like, "Switch side of the roads. There's a guy over there. He's threatening people with a knife." So I was almost stabbed. Luckily, that didn't happen. And I listened to the lovely queers switch side of the road. And I saw a guy for a second, but then he kind of just disappeared away, and that was a little frightening. But we're safe. That's all that matters. I'm glad that I have the wherewithal and didn't like get too drunk, just a little tipsy, so I could understand what was going on around me. So, took the train home, put my music in my ear, and I started listening to a lot of Sarah Kinsley. If you don't know Sarah Kinsley, love her lots. She makes this kind of like late 70s, early 80s inspired sounds with like alternative pop. Something that I wouldn't say like sounds like it's directly from the 80s, but more so is alternative pop girl stuff heavily influenced by like late 70s, early 80s rock. Some songs of hers I like really enjoyed and was listening to while I was on the train was Fleeting by Sarah Kinsley and Truth of Pursuit. And I feel like you can maybe imagine what those songs are about. Fleeting is definitely about all of the different fleeting moments that don't really mean anything within the grand scheme of things, and like how something you're feeling in this moment is going to be a lot smaller within the grand scheme of things in life. Fleeting moments that you'll be able to let go of in the future. And the Truth of Pursuit, I don't know, feels a little self explanatory. It's like, it's definitely talking about how the truth of pursuit can be a lot more confusing than one might expect in life, and how one might have multiple pursuits that are fighting each other in their head, such as finding a lover, finding a new place to live, or finding a new career, things like that. Things I can definitely relate to right now. Woo! So then I finally got home, and I was pooped. So I went to bed. When I woke up, it was a little late in the morning, maybe like 10:30. So a little late in the morning. I was definitely a little hungover, that's for sure. And maybe not even hungover from drinking. I think it was just hungover from all of what happened the day before. I was pooped. So I had to make this trip worth it still, obviously. Got my ass up and took the train up to this cute coffee shop in Argyle, which was a neighborhood just north of where I was staying. And it was so cute. Got a really yummy Vietnamese coffee there, and then I took the train down to the Art Institute and saw so many lovely paintings in this beautiful museum. There were lots of Vincent van Goghs, there were lots of Monets. I loved their armory room, and oh my gosh, so much other stuff to see. Obviously, the Luncheon of the Grass was a cute painting to see, all that classic stippling. Honestly, one of my favorite art pieces was this beautiful depiction of a chimera in, I believe, the Roman art section. So then, after I spent a majority of the day at the art museum, I was probably there till like 4 or 5 o'clock. I want to say like 4. Uh, I decided, well, I'm a little hungry, but it's not dinner time yet. So I decided to go check out the Magnificent Mile, which is like a luxury shopping district just north of the Loop. And I was just kind of exploring it for funsies, but there was a Mac store there, so that was cool. I think Mac stores are so fun. I love when makeup companies have like a dedicated store just for their brands. And then after that, I worked my way through the mall, just kind of like was perusing, and then I was like, let's get a little snack. Hot dog place, got a Chicago dog. It was delicious. Great dog. I don't think I'd ever had one before. It was delicious. It was great. It like had a good crunch to it with the green pepper on it. So then I sat there for a bit, hung out, explored the mall just a little bit more. After that, I decided, oh, I'll work my way back to my Airbnb for the night and maybe just explore my own neighborhood that I'm staying in a little bit and get some dinner there. So, worked my way back to the train, got on the train, and then I started feeling a little rumbly. I was shaking a little bit. I didn't feel great, had a headache, and I would say I trembled some. I didn't feel the greatest. So at that moment, made an adult decision to go home and just spend the night in the Airbnb and take it easy. I don't think it would have been wise to go out for dinner. I'm kind of sad to have missed out on Korean food, as that was my plan, but it's okay. It was already like 8 p.m. by the time I got to my neighborhood, and I made it home without feeling sick or anything. You gotta do what you gotta do. So I settled in and I ended up ordering DoorDash. I got your local slop bowl and I just talked with the Airbnb host for a bit and hung out there for the rest of the night in my lovely Airbnb. Next day, I felt a lot better and I decided I was going to make one last pit stop to a breakfast place that I was seeing being recommended everywhere. And it was called Ann Sather's. So I packed my stuff up and checked out of my Airbnb and I left to go to Ann Sather's. And Ann Sather's is this lovely Swedish diner in the northern part of Chicago. I want to say it might have been in Boys Town or just the very tip of it. So I took the train to North Halstead and the restaurant was like right off of the Red Line, I believe. Walked in, maybe just like one other person there. So lovely and quiet, just because it was a Monday morning. Um, and the thing about Ann Sather's is that it's famous for its cinnamon rolls. And with most entrees, you get a choice of two sides. And one of the sides can be two of their famous cinnamon rolls. And these cinnamon rolls are so fluffy, so classy, with such a nice dollop of icing on top. So I got some eggs, some sausage, links by the way, and some hash browns, and two of the cinnamon rolls. And they were so yummy. I would love to go back to that diner. I had a good time. I can't imagine though how busy it probably gets on the weekend. Oof. So, had a great time finishing up my trip in Chicago there because after that my Greyhound was leaving at like 10:30 in the morning. So, finished up my breakfast there and got back to the Greyhound station. Went on my merry way back to here to Cincinnati. I think some of the music I was listening to was like, oh, I remember. I was listening to Ribs by Lorde, of course. It's the perfect song for moments like these. I'm not even going to speak about Ribs by Lorde. It's just a song you have to listen to if you haven't listened to it yet. And I won't take flack for that. It was a game changer for a lot of people. I was also listening to Green Light by Lorde, which is like not the antithesis of Ribs, but definitely like a progression of Ribs. It shows how Lorde or Ella has aged over time, and it's in a way that a lot of us can relate to in moments. And then I was listening to Oh My Love a lot by FKA Twigs. It's off of her Capra Songs album, and something about that song just resonates with me for some reason. I feel like upon first listen, it's not really a standout song, but it really has this addictive quality with her voice where she plays with emotion throughout the song in such a playful way while still maintaining a really earnest message about what it means to try and commit to love within a relationship and why it doesn't work out for people that maybe haven't learned enough yet. Highly recommend a listen, obviously. Um, so then I got back home to Cincinnati and I ended up parking nearby and I drove on home to my little apartment. And what can I say? It was a fabulous time. Maybe I just needed to get out of the city, but I can truly see Chicago being another place I call home within the next year or so. I'm still going to explore some other places, but what I can say is something magical happened for me that weekend. I would love to try and explore more of those feelings where I found them. Okay. I'm going to stop getting so touchy and dramatic now. May have taken a little edible before this. So, I'm gonna, it was a nice reflection, that's for sure. So, I think that's a nice note to leave on this episode. Oh, and before I go, shout out Jackson. Thank you for kicking my ass into high gear to finally make a playlist for one of these mixtape episodes. I will be leaving a link to a Spotify playlist with all the songs that I mentioned in today's episode. And if there's a way I can do it for Apple Music and YouTube, I will do that too. So I'm going to look into that. Anyways, thank you for listening. I appreciate you tuning in to another mixtape episode of Pop Save the USA. If you want to catch up with new episodes in the future, I tend to post updates on Instagram at Pop Save the USA. So feel free to follow on there if you want to stay tuned for updates in the future. Alright, y'all. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Pop Save the USA.